Yosemite Paranormal Activity. Shadow People of Sequoias Chapter 1. A visit to Wawana Campground. The late afternoon sun painted the sky over Yosemite Valley in hues of orange and gold as the Smith family's car wound its way along the scenic route towards Wawana Campground. Jacob Smith gripped the steering wheel, his eyes dancing with excitement, while his wife, Emily, leaned over the backseat to check on their 6-year-old daughter, Lily, who was bouncing with anticipation. "We're almost there, sweetie," Emily reassured her daughter, her voice filled with warmth. The family had been planning this Yosemite camping trip for months, and now they were about to immerse themselves in the natural wonder of the national park. Emily couldn't wait to capture the beauty of Yosemite on her camera, while Jacob hoped to share his love for the great outdoors with Lily. As they approached Wawana Campground, a sense of tranquility washed over them. Tall trees surrounded the area, their leaves rustling in the gentle breeze. Birds sang their harmonious songs, welcoming the newcomers to the wilderness. The atmosphere was enchanting, and it seemed like the perfect place for a family adventure. Jacob parked the car in a designated camping spot, and together, they began to set up their campsite. The tent was erected with laughter and playful bickering as they navigated poles and fabric. The smell of roasting marshmallows soon filled the air, and as the stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky, they gathered around the campfire for dinner. After the meal, as the night grew deeper, Emily and Jacob sat by the campfire, wrapped in each other's warmth. Lily had already retreated to the tent, her eyes heavy with sleep. Jacob reached for his guitar and began strumming a soft melody, filling the night with music. Just as Emily began to drift into a peaceful reverie, she caught a glimpse of something out of the corner of her eye, a fleeting, shadowy figure that disappeared as soon as she turned her head to look. She shook it off, attributing it to a trick of the firelight and her imagination playing tricks on her in the unfamiliar wilderness. But then, a giggle emanated from the tent, and Lily's voice carried through the night. "Mom, Dad, there's someone outside." Startled, Jacob and Emily rushed to their feet and hurried to the tent, their hearts pounding in their chests. What they saw sent shivers down their spines. Lily sat in her sleeping bag, her eyes wide with wonder and fear as she pointed toward the edge of the campsite. In the dim light, they saw it, the same shadowy figure Emily had glimpsed moments before, lurking at the periphery of their camp. Jacob clenched his fists, his protective instincts kicking in. "Who's there?" He called out into the darkness, his voice trembling. No response came. The shadowy figure remained still, its form wavering like a mirage. It seemed to draw closer, then recede, as if toying with them. Emily felt her fear mount, but she tried to sound composed for Lily's sake. "It's probably just another camper, sweetie. Maybe they got lost." But even as she said it, doubt gnawed at her. There was something unnatural about that figure, something that sent a chill through her bones. Just then, a whisper of wind rustled through the trees, and the shadowy figure vanished into thin air, leaving nothing but an eerie silence in its wake. Lily's fear had transformed into fascination, her young mind unable to comprehend the unsettling nature of the encounter. She begged her parents to tell her a ghost story before bedtime, blissfully unaware of the very real shadow that had crossed their path. With a forced smile, Emily spun a tale about friendly forest spirits and guardian angels, trying to soothe their rattled nerves. But as they settled back into the tent for the night, the Smith family couldn't shake the feeling that their Yosemite adventure had taken an unexpected and somewhat unnerving turn. In the darkness outside, the shadowy figure lingered, watching, waiting, and the valley whispered with secrets that had yet to be revealed. Chapter 2. An unusual welcome. The night had settled over the Wawana campground like a heavy blanket, casting long shadows and bathing everything in eerie darkness. Inside their tent, the Smith family lay on their sleeping bags, wrapped in a cocoon of uncertainty. Jacob and Emily tried to put on brave faces, whispering soothing words to Lily, who had been restless ever since the peculiar encounter earlier. Her wide eyes darted around the tent as if she expected the shadowy figure to materialize inside at any moment. "Mom, Dad, I'm scared," she confessed in a tremulous voice, clutching her stuffed bear tightly. Jacob reached out and ruffled her hair gently. "It's okay, sweetheart. We're right here with you. Nothing's going to harm you." As much as he wanted to believe his own words, unease gnawed at the edges of his confidence. The presence they had encountered earlier, though fleeting, had been unnerving. He couldn't shake the feeling that there was something profoundly wrong about it. Emily reached for the lantern and flicked it on, casting a warm, flickering glow inside the tent. She turned her attention to her daughter and spoke softly, "Lily, sometimes our eyes play tricks on us, especially in the dark. What you saw might have just been a trick of the light." Lily blinked up at her parents, not entirely convinced but willing to accept their reassurance for the time being. Okay, Mom. With that, Emily started to recount her own childhood camping trips, conjuring tales of friendly forest animals and benevolent spirits that watched over them as they slept. Her stories were meant to be comforting, but the tent still felt oppressive, as if it held secrets that refused to be revealed. Outside, the night took on a new level of stillness. The usual sounds of the forest were muted, as if the creatures of the wild had sensed something amiss. Emily and Jacob exchanged glances in the dim lantern light, their unease mirrored in each other's eyes. Hours passed, and exhaustion finally overcame their anxiety. Lily's breathing deepened, and her eyes drooped as she drifted into slumber. Jacob and Emily exchanged a weary smile, grateful for the momentary respite. Just as they were about to close their own eyes, a soft rustling noise reached their ears. They stiffened, their gazes locked on the tent's entrance. The rustling grew louder, more pronounced, as if someone, or something, was brushing against the fabric. Jacob reached for the camping knife they kept nearby, his heart pounding in his chest. He motioned for Emily to stay quiet, his eyes wide with tension. The rustling continued, accompanied by the soft, rhythmic padding of footsteps outside the tent. It was not the sound of a fellow camper. It was deliberate, methodical, and unsettlingly close. Emily's hand found Jacob's, their fingers entwined in shared fear. She leaned closer to him, her breath shallow and rapid. They had to act, had to protect Lily. But what could they do against this unknown, lurking presence? Just as Jacob was about to unzip the tent and confront whatever lay outside, the rustling ceased abruptly, and the footsteps retreated into the darkness. The oppressive silence returned, leaving the Smith family in a state of heightened anxiety and vulnerability. For the rest of the night, none of them slept. They huddled together in the dimly lit tent, listening to the eerie sounds of the forest, which now seemed more ominous than ever. The night wore on, stretching into a seemingly endless void of uncertainty. As the first light of dawn began to filter through the trees, Emily finally mustered the courage to unzip the tent and peer outside. The campsite appeared peaceful and undisturbed, as if the events of the night had been nothing more than a twisted dream. Jacob, however, wasn't so quick to dismiss what they had experienced. He scanned the area, his eyes darting from shadow to shadow, searching for any signs of the mysterious presence. The sun continued its ascent, bathing the campground in warm, golden light, and the sense of unease gradually faded. They ventured outside to find that everything appeared normal. The trees, the neighboring campsites, even the birdsong had returned. Yet, as they packed up their campsite and prepared to move on with their Yosemite adventure, the nagging feeling of being watched, of being on the edge of something inexplicable, lingered like a haunting melody in the background. They couldn't have known then that this unsettling encounter was only the beginning, that the shadows that danced at the periphery of their vision held secrets darker and more enigmatic than they could have ever imagined. Chapter 3. Encounters in the dark. The Smith family had packed up their campsite and were now navigating the winding roads of Yosemite National Park in search of their next destination. The morning sun bathed the park's towering trees and magnificent cliffs in a soft, golden light, a stark contrast to the eerie darkness of the previous night. Despite the picturesque surroundings, an unspoken tension lingered within the car. Jacob kept glancing at the rearview mirror, as if expecting to catch a glimpse of the shadowy figure following them. Emily, too, couldn't shake the sense of foreboding that had settled over her since their encounter at Wawana Campground. Lily, however, seemed strangely unfazed. She chatted happily from the backseat, her innocent curiosity untouched by the events of the night before. Her parents exchanged worried glances, unsure how to explain the unsettling experiences to their young daughter. As the day wore on, they arrived at Mariposa Grove of giant sequoias, one of Yosemite's most iconic attractions. Towering trees that had witnessed centuries of history loomed overhead, their massive trunks adorned with green foliage. It was a place of awe-inspiring beauty and grandeur, but even here, a subtle unease seemed to pervade the air. The Smiths explored the grove, gazing up at the giants of the forest. Emily's camera clicked, capturing the majesty of the ancient trees, but she couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows danced differently here, their movements more deliberate and ominous. Jacob decided to confide in his wife. "Emily, I can't stop thinking about last night. I know it sounds crazy, but I can't shake the feeling that something is following us." Emily nodded, her eyes filled with a mixture of concern and understanding. "I felt it too, Jake. Something's not right." Their conversation was interrupted when Lily's excited voice broke through. "Look, Mom, Dad, it's the fallen monarch." They turned their attention to a massive, hollowed-out sequoia known as the fallen monarch. It lay on its side, its cavernous interior inviting exploration. Emily and Jacob exchanged a knowing look and led Lily inside the tree's hollowed shell. As they ventured deeper into the darkness, the air grew cooler, and the sense of unease intensified. Shadows clung to the tree's interior, moving with a life of their own, flickering and coalescing in the corners of their vision. Lily's voice echoed through the hollow, bouncing off the ancient wooden walls. "It's like a secret cave, Mom and Dad. But secrets have a way of revealing themselves in the most unexpected moments." As they explored the hollow, they began to hear whispers, a soft, indistinct murmur that seemed to come from the very walls of the tree. Jacob's grip on his flashlight tightened. "Did you hear that, Emily?" She nodded, her heart pounding in her chest. "I did. Lily, stay close to us." The whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if the very tree itself held a story to tell, a story of ancient secrets and forgotten nightmares. Emily shone her flashlight toward the source of the sound, and her breath caught in her throat. There, at the far end of the hollow, a shadowy figure took shape. It was the same figure they had encountered at Wawana Campground, a dark, formless silhouette that seemed to defy the laws of reality. Jacob's voice trembled as he spoke. "Who are you? What do you want?" The figure remained silent, its presence an oppressive weight in the hollow. Lily, sensing her parents' fear, clutched her stuffed bear tightly, her eyes wide with trepidation. And then, with an otherworldly grace, the shadowy figure began to move, darting and gliding through the darkness, approaching them with an unsettling, fluid motion. Panic set in as it drew closer, its dark form inches away from Emily, Jacob, and Lily. With trembling hands, Jacob reached for his camping knife, but before he could react, the figure vanished, dissipating into the very walls of the tree. The hollow fell silent once more, the whispers fading into nothingness. The Smith family stood there, their breaths shallow and rapid, their hearts heavy with a dread that defied explanation. As they hurried out of the fallen monarch, the once majestic grove seemed transformed. The towering sequoias, which had once exuded strength and resilience, now felt like sentinels of a much older and darker world. They returned to their car in a daze, their minds awash with questions and fears. The unsettling encounters with the shadowy figure were becoming impossible to ignore, and the sense of being watched, pursued, and haunted had become an inescapable reality. The Yosemite adventure that had begun with excitement and wonder had now plunged them into a nightmare they could not comprehend. The shadows that danced at the edges of their perception were no longer figments of imagination but a chilling reality they could not escape. Chapter 4. The Shadow People Phenomenon. The drive back from Mariposa Grove was fraught with tension. Jacob's knuckles were white as he gripped the steering wheel, his gaze fixed on the winding road ahead. Emily sat beside him, her mind racing, searching for answers that remained elusive. Lily, for the first time since their arrival in Yosemite, was uncharacteristically silent in the backseat. Her eyes were wide with a mixture of curiosity and fear, her little mind struggling to comprehend the strange occurrences that had plagued their trip. As they reached their new campsite, situated closer to Yosemite Valley, the family found a semblance of normalcy among the towering pines and the soothing sounds of the South Fort Merced River. Jacob and Emily exchanged a determined look. They couldn't let fear dictate the course of their family adventure. The afternoon sun was warm and inviting, and the Smiths decided to explore the nearby Yosemite History Center in Wawana to learn more about the park's past. It was a chance to immerse themselves in the rich history of Yosemite, to distract their minds from the unsettling encounters of the past 2 nights. Inside the History Center, they were greeted by informative exhibits showcasing the park's early settlers, indigenous communities, and the evolution of tourism in the area. Emily was particularly drawn to a display about the legendary Native American spirit, Awanichi, said to be the protector of Yosemite Valley. As they moved through the exhibits, they encountered a park ranger named Sarah who was stationed at the center. She had an air of wisdom about her, her eyes hinting at knowledge deeper than the exhibits could provide. Sarah noticed the family's curiosity and struck up a conversation. "I see you're interested in Yosemite's history," she said with a warm smile. Jacob nodded. "We've been camping here, but there's something strange happening in the park." "Something we can't explain." Emily interjected. "Last night, we encountered a shadowy figure inside a giant sequoia at Mariposa Grove. It felt unnatural, otherworldly." Sarah's expression shifted subtly, her gaze growing more intense. "Shadowy figures, you say? That's not the first time I've heard such a tale. There have been whispers among the rangers, stories of something unexplained lurking in the depths of the park." Jacob leaned in, eager for any information that could shed light on their experiences. "Can you tell us more? What do you know about these shadowy figures?" Sarah hesitated, as if debating whether to share what she knew. Finally, she spoke in a hushed tone. Some call them the shadow people. They're elusive, often seen out of the corner of one's eye, just like you described. There have been stories dating back decades, passed down through generations of park rangers. Emily shivered. But what are they? Why are they here? Sarah's gaze grew distant, as if she was recalling something from the past. There are theories, of course. Some believe they're the spirits of ancient Native Americans, while others think they're interdimensional beings. There are even those who claim the shadow people feed on the energy of the living, draining their vitality. Lily, who had been listening intently, tugged at Sarah's uniform. Are they good or bad? Sarah crouched down to Lily's eye level. It's hard to say, sweetie. Some people have peaceful encounters with them, while others find them unsettling. It seems like they have their own intentions, and they're drawn to certain places in the park. Jacob and Emily exchanged glances, their unease deepening. Is there anything we can do? Emily asked. Sarah's expression turned serious. If you encounter them again, try to remain calm. Some believe that fear attracts them. And always stay together as a family. There's strength in unity. As they left the History Center, the Smiths were left with a sense of foreboding. The park, once a place of natural beauty and adventure, had become tinged with an unsettling mystery. They knew that their encounters with the shadow people were not isolated incidents, that there was a deeper, enigmatic truth to be uncovered. That night, as they returned to their campsite beside the South Fork Merced River, they couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The shadows cast by the campfire danced eerily, and the sounds of the forest took on a haunting quality. As they settled into their tent once more, the knowledge that the shadow people were real, and that they were not alone in the darkness, weighed heavily on their minds. The untold story of Yosemite had taken a darker turn, and the Smith family found themselves entangled in a mystery that threatened to consume them. In the silence of the night, the shadows converged, and the true nature of their enigmatic pursuers remained shrouded in uncertainty. Chapter 5. Sleepless nights. The air inside the tent hung heavy with unease as the Smith family settled in for another night in Yosemite. The campfire had dwindled to embers, casting eerie, flickering shadows that danced upon the fabric walls. Sleep felt elusive, like a distant dream that dared not approach. Lily, still unaware of the sinister undercurrents that had infiltrated their trip, was the first to succumb to exhaustion. Her small form lay curled up in her sleeping bag, her breath slow and rhythmic as she drifted into slumber. The innocence of childhood allowed her to find solace in dreams, free from the haunting memories of shadowy figures. Jacob and Emily, on the other hand, lay wide awake, their minds tortured by thoughts of the mysterious encounters they had experienced. The history of the park, the legends of the shadow people, and the unsettling stories shared by Sarah, the park ranger, swirled in their heads like a relentless storm. Hours passed, but sleep refused to claim them. The forest outside their tent seemed to come alive in the darkness. The gentle gurgle of the river turned into a haunting serenade, and the rustling leaves whispered secrets of the night. As Emily stared at the ceiling, her mind replayed the events of the past few days. The shadowy figure at Wawana Campground, the eerie encounter at the Fallen Monarch, and Sarah's cryptic warnings all converged into a bewildering enigma. Beside her, Jacob had his eyes fixed on the tent entrance, his senses heightened by paranoia. He had placed the camping knife within easy reach, a futile attempt to ward off the inexplicable. The sensation of being watched grew stronger, as if an invisible presence lingered just beyond their vision. Then it began, a soft, discordant humming, barely audible, yet distinct in its haunting melody. Emily's heart quickened, and she nudged Jacob, her voice a whisper. Do you hear that? Jacob nodded, his eyes wide with apprehension. It's coming from outside. Together, they unzipped the tent, their flashlight beams cutting through the inky blackness of the night. The source of the eerie humming revealed itself, a dense cluster of shadowy figures, their forms indistinct and wavering, arranged in a circle around their campsite. Panic seized Jacob as he reached for the flashlight, aiming its beam at the closest figure. But the light passed through the figure as if it were composed of smoke, casting shadows upon shadows. Emily gasped, her voice trembling. What are they doing? In the center of the circle, the figures swayed in a spectral dance, their movements fluid and ethereal. They seemed to communicate in a language of shadows, their whispered words unintelligible, yet charged with an unsettling energy. As the minutes passed, the Smiths watched in a surreal trance, unable to tear their eyes away from the enigmatic gathering. Fear and fascination battled within them, as if drawn by an irresistible force. But then, as if sensing their presence, one of the figures turned toward the tent, its form coalescing into something more tangible. It approached with an eerie, gliding motion, and the air grew colder with its proximity. Jacob's voice quivered as he shouted, "Stay away from us." The figure hesitated for a moment, its dark form undulating, and then it retreated, merging once more with the shadowy dance. The humming grew louder, more discordant, until it reached a crescendo that sent shivers down the Smiths' spines. Terrified and overwhelmed, they retreated into the tent, zipping it closed in a futile attempt to shut out the unnerving spectacle. Sleep remained elusive, and the night was consumed by an eerie symphony of whispers and shadows. Dawn finally broke, casting aside the cloak of darkness that had enveloped their campsite. The shadowy figures dissipated like morning mist, leaving the Smith family with a sense of dread and uncertainty that clung to them like a second skin. As they emerged from the tent, their eyes were heavy with exhaustion, their minds filled with questions that had no answers. The untold story of Yosemite had revealed itself as a nightmare they could neither escape nor comprehend. With each passing day, the line between reality and the supernatural blurred further, and the shadows that danced at the edges of their perception grew more ominous, as if the very fabric of their existence had been irrevocably altered. Chapter 6. Isolation and Paranoia. The Smith family's once enthusiastic Yosemite adventure had taken a sinister turn, and the specter of the shadow people loomed over them like a dark cloud. Each night brought a growing sense of dread, and sleep had become an elusive, distant memory. Their interactions with fellow campers had dwindled, replaced by an unspoken isolation. The Smiths kept to themselves, avoiding eye contact and conversations, as if acknowledging the horrors they had witnessed might make them all the more real. The daytime offered a semblance of normalcy. They embarked on hikes through the pristine wilderness, explored the breathtaking vistas, and shared smiles amidst the awe-inspiring beauty of Yosemite. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, a chilling unease settled upon them like a shroud. One evening, while roasting marshmallows by the campfire, they overheard hushed conversations from neighboring campers. The name, Shadow People, drifted on the night breeze, spoken in fearful tones. It seemed that their encounters were not unique, that others had been touched by the same mysterious presence. Emily's eyes met Jacob's, and she nodded toward the hushed group. "We're not alone in this, Jake." Jacob clenched his jaw, his determination to protect his family taking precedence over his fear. "We need to find out more, Emily. We can't be the only ones who want answers." The next morning, they sought out the group of campers who had mentioned the Shadow People. A couple named Mark and Laura had experienced their own unsettling encounter during a midnight hike to Glacier Point. Their description mirrored the Smiths' experiences: shadowy figures, eerie whispers, and an overwhelming sense of being watched. Mark leaned in, his voice barely above a whisper. "We heard about a local legend, an old Native American story about spirits that guard the park. They say these spirits are neither good nor evil, just ancient, and they appear to those who show respect for the land." Laura added, "But the encounters can be terrifying, especially if you don't understand what's happening." The Smiths shared their own experiences, and the group decided to visit the Yosemite History Center once more, hoping to uncover more about the enigmatic spirits that haunted the park. As they examined the exhibits, they discovered a faded journal from a park ranger named Samuel Thompson, dating back to the early 1900s. The journal contained cryptic entries that hinted at encounters with shadowy entities, and a passage caught their attention. "Tonight, I ventured into the heart of the woods, drawn by whispers only I could hear. There, amidst the towering trees and the ancient rocks, I saw them, shadowy figures, dancing in the moonlight. They beckoned, and though fear coursed through my veins, I followed. In their presence, I felt a connection to something older than time itself." The group exchanged uneasy glances, realizing that the phenomenon of the Shadow People had persisted for generations, perhaps even centuries. As they left the History Center, Mark's voice was laced with trepidation. "We need to understand their intentions, to find a way to coexist peacefully with them. Maybe that's the key to ending these terrifying encounters." Over the following days, the group of campers embarked on a quest to uncover more about the ancient spirits of Yosemite. They sought guidance from local historians, Native American elders, and even paranormal experts who had studied the park's mysteries. As their knowledge grew, so did their determination to confront the Shadow People. They learned of rituals and ceremonies meant to show respect for the land and its ancient guardians. They practiced mindfulness, seeking to attune themselves to the energy of the park. But despite their efforts, the nights remained fraught with tension. The Shadow People continued to make their presence known, their appearances becoming more frequent and unnerving. They seemed to test the resolve of those who sought to understand them, and the Smith family's bond was tested in turn. Emily, Jacob, and Lily faced a growing rift within their family. The sleepless nights had taken a toll on their patience and sanity. Arguments erupted over how to handle the encounters, and Lily's innocence had begun to crumble in the face of the terrifying reality that surrounded her. One particularly tense night, as the shadows closed in around their campfire, Emily and Jacob confronted their fears and doubts head-on. They realized that their family's unity was the key to facing the shadow people and the darkness that threatened to consume them. With renewed determination, they sought out the group of campers and shared their insights. Together, they devised a plan to conduct a ceremony, a symbolic gesture of respect and understanding toward the ancient spirits of Yosemite. The night of the ceremony arrived, and the campsite was bathed in the soft glow of lanterns. The group gathered in a circle, their faces a blend of fear and hope. They chanted words of respect, performed rituals of gratitude, and, in the midst of the shadows, they felt a palpable shift in the atmosphere. The whispers that had haunted them turned into a gentle breeze, caressing their faces like a reassuring touch. The shadow people, once ominous and enigmatic, seemed to embrace the gesture of peace. As the night drew to a close, the group watched as the shadowy figures faded into the darkness, their presence no longer an omen of dread but a part of the ancient tapestry of Yosemite. Emily, Jacob, and Lily returned to their tent that night, their hearts lighter and their bond stronger. The untold story of Yosemite had revealed its mysteries, and they had found a way to coexist with the enigmatic spirits that guarded the park. The nights that followed were no longer filled with fear and isolation but with a newfound understanding and respect for the land they had come to love. The shadows that had once haunted their dreams now held a place in their hearts as a testament to the enduring magic of Yosemite. Chapter 7. Unearthed secrets. Months had passed since the Smith family and their fellow campers had made peace with the shadow people of Yosemite. The once ominous presence had become a part of the park's mystique, a whispered legend among those who knew the untold story. Life had settled into a semblance of normalcy for the Smiths. Jacob and Emily had resumed their roles as loving parents, and Lily, though forever changed by the experiences, had regained some of her childhood innocence. They still camped in the park, but the nights were no longer fraught with fear. One crisp autumn day, while exploring the depths of the forest, Emily stumbled upon a moss-covered, ancient-looking journal hidden beneath a pile of fallen leaves. She picked it up, the leather cover yielding beneath her touch, and her curiosity got the better of her. The journal's pages were yellowed with age, and the ink had faded with time, but the words were still legible. It was the journal of Samuel Thompson, the park ranger whose writings they had come across in the Yosemite History Center. As Emily leafed through the journal, she found herself drawn into Samuel's accounts of his encounters with the shadow people. His words painted a vivid picture of his journey into the heart of the park, his curiosity driving him to uncover the secrets that shrouded Yosemite. "I have learned their names, Ine and Yowie, ancient spirits of the land. They have been the silent guardians of this place for centuries, their presence a testament to the enduring magic of Yosemite. But their silence is broken, and they have begun to share their stories with me." Emily's heart quickened as she read on, realizing that Samuel had not only encountered the shadow people but had communicated with them. His entries described whispered conversations, cryptic messages, and a growing bond between himself and the ancient spirits. The journal revealed an incredible revelation, a hidden cave deep within Yosemite that Samuel believed held the key to understanding the true nature of the shadow people and the mysteries that shrouded the park. Jacob, who had joined Emily in reading the journal, couldn't contain his excitement. "We have to find this cave, Emily. It could hold the answers we've been searching for." Their newfound resolve led them on a journey deeper into the wilderness, tracing Samuel's footsteps through the rugged terrain. With the journal as their guide, they navigated through dense forests, crossed rushing streams, and climbed treacherous cliffs. As they ventured deeper into the park, they could feel the presence of the shadow people growing stronger, as if guiding them toward their destination. The whispers of the forest seemed to echo with ancient secrets, and the air hummed with an otherworldly energy. Finally, after days of exploration, they stumbled upon the entrance to the hidden cave, concealed by a curtain of thick vines and moss. The cave's gaping maw seemed to beckon them, and they descended into its depths, their lanterns casting eerie, flickering shadows upon the ancient walls. Inside, they discovered a breathtaking world, a labyrinth of caverns adorned with crystalline formations that glowed with an ethereal light. The air was thick with the presence of the shadow people, their shadowy forms dancing upon the walls like ancient cave paintings. In the heart of the cave, they found a chamber filled with enigmatic symbols and carvings. The symbols seemed to tell a story of the land, of its guardians, and of the unbreakable bond between nature and the supernatural. As Emily and Jacob studied the symbols, a soft, haunting melody filled the chamber, as if the cave itself were singing an ancient song. It was a song of gratitude, of respect, and of a shared understanding between the living and the spirits that guarded Yosemite. Lily, wide-eyed with wonder, reached out to touch one of the symbols, and in that moment, she felt a connection to something older than time itself. The cave seemed to resonate with her innocence, and the shadow people gathered around her, their forms swirling in a hypnotic dance. The cave revealed its final secret, a vision of the park's past, where Native American tribes had lived in harmony with the land, where rituals of respect and gratitude had been performed, and where the shadow people had watched over the generations. As the vision faded, the Smith family felt a profound sense of awe and humility. They had unearthed the untold story of Yosemite, a story of ancient spirits, enduring magic, and the unbreakable bond between humanity and nature. As they left the cave, their hearts were filled with a newfound respect for the land, a respect that transcended fear and uncertainty. The shadow people, once enigmatic and terrifying, had become a part of their lives, a testament to the enduring mysteries of the natural world. The untold story of Yosemite had revealed its secrets, and the Smith family had become a part of its legacy, forever changed by the supernatural experiences that had unfolded in the heart of the park. Chapter 8. The unraveling. The Smith family's discovery of the hidden cave deep within Yosemite had left them in awe, but it had also awakened a new curiosity, an insatiable desire to understand the ancient spirits that guarded the park. They spent their days researching, poring over old texts and seeking out those who might hold the key to unraveling the mysteries. Their journey led them to an elderly Native American elder named Chief Tawadi. His eyes held the wisdom of generations, and his voice was a soothing balm to their restless souls. Chief Tawadi welcomed them into his home, a modest cabin nestled on the outskirts of Yosemite. The walls of his cabin were adorned with intricate tapestries and hand-carved artifacts, each a testament to his rich heritage. As they shared their story with the chief, he listened intently, his expression a mixture of understanding and concern. When they finished recounting their encounters with the shadow people and their discovery of the hidden cave, Chief Tawadi spoke in a measured tone. "You have ventured into a world few outsiders are meant to see," he began. "The shadow people, Ine and Yowie, are the ancient spirits of Yosemite, guardians of the land. They are neither good nor evil, but their presence is a reminder of the delicate balance between the natural world and the supernatural." Lily, always eager to learn, asked, "But why do they appear to us, Chief Tawadi?" The elder's gaze shifted to the window, as if contemplating his response. "They reveal themselves to those who seek to understand, those who show respect for the land and its history. Your family has been chosen, perhaps because you are willing to listen." Jacob leaned forward, his eyes filled with a mixture of hope and trepidation. "What can you tell us about them? What are they trying to communicate?" Chief Tawadi sighed, his weathered hands folding in his lap. "The shadow people have watched over Yosemite for centuries, their presence an ancient pact with the land itself. They reveal themselves to those who have a role to play in preserving the park's natural beauty and its untold stories." Emily interjected, "But their appearances have been unsettling, Chief Tawadi. We've been haunted by their presence." The elder nodded. "Their nature is enigmatic, and their methods are often misunderstood. They communicate in whispers and shadows, in symbols and visions. It is up to those who encounter them to interpret their messages." As the evening sun dipped below the horizon, Chief Tawadi offered to perform a traditional ceremony, a gesture of respect and gratitude to the shadow people. The Smith family eagerly accepted, hoping to gain a deeper understanding of their enigmatic guardians. The ceremony took place in a secluded glade within Yosemite, bathed in the soft light of lanterns. Chief Tawadi chanted ancient songs, and the family joined in, their voices mingling with the whispers of the forest. They offered gifts of gratitude, hand-woven blankets, baskets of fruit, and carefully crafted trinkets. As the ceremony reached its climax, the shadows around them seemed to come to life, swirling and dancing in the flickering light. The Smiths felt a profound connection to the land, as if they were part of an unbroken chain of history and tradition. Then, in a moment of breathtaking clarity, the shadow people appeared, their forms coalescing in the midst of the ceremony. Ine and Yowie, the ancient spirits of Yosemite, regarded the family with eyes that held the wisdom of millennia. In the presence of the shadow people, the Smiths felt a flood of emotions, awe, reverence, and an inexplicable bond. The spirits communicated not through words but through shared visions, images of pristine landscapes, ancient rituals, and the enduring magic of Yosemite. As the ceremony concluded, the shadow people melted back into the shadows, leaving the Smith family with a profound sense of understanding and purpose. They had become a part of Yosemite's untold story, entrusted with the responsibility of preserving its natural beauty and the secrets that dwelled within. Their journey continued, but it was no longer one of fear and uncertainty. They had forged a connection with the land and its guardians, and the shadows that had once haunted their dreams had become a source of inspiration and wonder. The untold story of Yosemite had revealed its mysteries, and the Smith family had embraced their role as stewards of its enduring magic. Chapter 9. Echoes of the past. The Smith family's connection with the Shadow People had brought them a profound sense of understanding and purpose, but it had also stirred a curiosity that could not be easily quelled. The ancient spirits of Yosemite had shared their visions, revealing glimpses of the park's untold history, and the Smiths yearned to uncover more. Their journey of discovery led them to the Yosemite History Center once more, where they delved into the archives in search of forgotten stories and hidden secrets. The old journals and documents spoke of a time long past, when Native American tribes had roamed the land, performing rituals and ceremonies to honor the spirits of Yosemite. One journal in particular, written by a tribal elder named Nahimana, caught their attention. It contained accounts of encounters with the Shadow People dating back centuries, describing them as protectors of the land, emissaries of an ancient power that had shaped the destiny of Yosemite. Emily's voice trembled with excitement as she read aloud. Nahimana writes about a sacred ritual, a ceremony that allowed the tribe to communicate with the Shadow People. It's said to reveal the hidden history of the land. Jacob's eyes sparkled with determination. We have to find this ritual, Emily. It could unlock the mysteries of Yosemite and deepen our connection with the spirits. With Chief Tawadi's guidance, they embarked on a quest to uncover the sacred ritual, following the clues left behind in Nahimana's journal. It led them deeper into the wilderness, where the forest grew denser, and the whispers of the Shadow People became more pronounced. As they ventured into uncharted territory, they encountered remnants of ancient tribal settlements, weathered totem poles, crumbling dwellings, and sacred stones adorned with carvings. Each discovery brought them closer to their goal, a sense of history coming alive around them. Their journey reached its culmination at a secluded glen deep within the heart of Yosemite. Surrounded by towering trees and the soft murmur of a hidden stream, they discovered an ancient stone altar, hidden beneath a canopy of leaves. Chief Tawadi explained the significance of the altar. This is where the tribal elders once performed the sacred ritual, connecting with the Shadow People and the land itself. It is a place of power and reverence. With the journal as their guide, they prepared for the ritual, following the steps described by Nahimana. They lit a ceremonial fire, its flickering flames casting dancing shadows upon the altar. They chanted ancient songs, their voices blending with the whispers of the forest. As the ritual reached its climax, the shadows around them began to shift and dance, as if the very essence of Yosemite was awakening. Then, in a moment of breathtaking clarity, the Shadow People appeared, their forms taking shape before them. Ine and Yaoi regarded the family with eyes that held the wisdom of centuries. In their presence, the Smiths felt a profound connection to the land, as if they had become a part of its history and its untold stories. The ritual unfolded like a tapestry of visions, images of Native American tribes performing sacred ceremonies, of the land's transformation through the ages, and of the enduring magic that had drawn them all together. As the ritual concluded, the Shadow People melted back into the shadows, leaving the Smith family with a sense of awe and reverence. They had glimpsed the echoes of the past, touched the history of Yosemite, and deepened their bond with the ancient spirits that guarded the land. Their journey had revealed the untold story of Yosemite, a story of ancient spirits, enduring magic, and the unbreakable connection between humanity and the natural world. As they left the glen, the whispers of the Shadow People lingered in the air, like a promise of future encounters and the continuation of a shared story. The Smiths had become stewards of Yosemite's history and its mysteries, entrusted with preserving its natural beauty and the secrets that dwelled within. Chapter 10. The unseen presence. The bond between the Smith family and the Shadow People of Yosemite had deepened, and they had become guardians of the park's untold history and enduring magic. Yet, with each revelation, their connection to the supernatural world grew stronger, and their encounters with the spirits more frequent. As the days turned to weeks, the Smiths continued to explore Yosemite's hidden corners, seeking to understand the ancient spirits' role in the park's history. They encountered other visitors who had experienced their own eerie encounters with the Shadow People, and the legends surrounding the enigmatic beings continued to grow. One evening, as they sat around their campfire, Emily recounted a story she had heard from a fellow camper. They say that the Shadow People are protectors of the land, but they also hold secrets of the natural world and its balance. Jacob nodded thoughtfully. It makes sense. The more we learn, the more we realize that they are an integral part of Yosemite's ecosystem. Lily, always eager to unravel mysteries, asked, "What kind of secrets do you think they're guarding, Dad?" Jacob gazed into the dancing flames, his voice soft but filled with conviction. "I believe they guard the balance of life and death, the cycle of nature that sustains this park. And I think they've chosen us to be their stewards." Their peaceful evening was interrupted by an unexpected presence, a figure emerging from the shadows, its form indistinct but undeniably there. It was Sarah, the park ranger they had encountered at the beginning of their journey. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "I've been waiting for you. There's something you need to know." The Smiths gathered around her, their curiosity piqued. "What is it?" Emily asked. Sarah hesitated before continuing. "The shadow people, Ine and Yowie, they are guardians of a delicate balance, but they also hold a darker secret, a power that can shape life and death itself. They have chosen you to be their conduits, their link to the natural world." Lily's eyes widened in awe. "What kind of power?" Sarah's expression grew solemn. "The power to restore life to the land, to heal the wounds inflicted upon it by time and human interference. But this power comes with a price. It demands a sacrifice, a life given to sustain the land's vitality." The Smiths exchanged uneasy glances, the weight of Sarah's revelation settling upon them. The shadow people had entrusted them with a responsibility that held the power to reshape Yosemite's destiny, but it came at a profound cost. Sarah's voice grew somber as she continued, "You must choose whether to accept this burden or relinquish the power to the spirits. Your decision will shape the future of Yosemite." As Sarah disappeared into the shadows, leaving the Smiths with an unsettling choice, they spent the night wrestling with their newfound knowledge. The idea of wielding such power filled them with a mixture of awe and dread, and they knew that their decision would come with profound consequences. The following day, they ventured deeper into the park, seeking guidance from Chief Tawadi and the wisdom of the Native American elders. They shared Sarah's revelation and the weighty choice that lay before them. Chief Tawadi listened in silence, his gaze fixed on the ancient trees surrounding them. Finally, he spoke, his voice filled with gravitas. "The power of the shadow people is a double-edged sword, a gift and a burden. It is a responsibility that demands great sacrifice." Emily asked, "What would happen if we choose not to accept it, Chief Tawadi?" The elder's eyes held a depth of sadness. "If you decline, the power will remain dormant, and Yosemite will continue to face the challenges of a changing world. The choice is yours, but you must decide with the understanding that it is the land itself that will bear the consequences." As they left Chief Tawadi, the Smith family felt the weight of their decision pressing upon them. They continued their exploration of Yosemite, witnessing the park's beauty and vulnerability with fresh eyes. As the sun set behind the iconic granite cliffs, casting long shadows upon the landscape, they returned to their campsite, their minds filled with uncertainty. The shadow people, the guardians of Yosemite's delicate balance, awaited their answer, an answer that would shape the destiny of the park and its untold stories. Chapter 11. The Smith family had reached a pivotal moment in their journey through Yosemite. The weight of the decision they faced hung heavy in the air like a looming storm. The shadow people had entrusted them with a power that could heal the land, but it came at the price of a profound sacrifice. As they sat around their campfire that night, the fire's flickering light casting eerie shadows upon their faces, they knew that their choice would have far-reaching consequences, not only for themselves but for the park they had grown to love. Jacob broke the silence, his voice filled with uncertainty. "We can't make this decision lightly, Emily. It's not just our lives that are at stake, it's the future of Yosemite." Emily nodded, her eyes glistening with a mixture of fear and determination. "But how do we decide? How can we choose between the power to heal the land and the price it demands?" Lily, who had been listening intently, spoke up, her voice steady. "Maybe we should seek guidance from the shadow people themselves. We've communicated with them before, perhaps they can offer us insight." With a sense of purpose, they agreed to perform a ceremony, a communion with the ancient spirits that had become an integral part of their lives. They gathered the necessary offerings, wildflowers, sacred herbs, and the flickering light of lanterns, and prepared for the ritual. As they stood in the heart of the Yosemite wilderness, surrounded by the hushed whispers of the forest, they began the ceremony. Their voices joined in ancient chants, their offerings placed upon an improvised altar. The night seemed to hold its breath as the atmosphere grew charged with an otherworldly energy. And then, in the shadows that danced around them, the shadow people emerged, their forms taking shape before the family. Ine and Yowie regarded them with eyes that held both wisdom and sadness. Jacob, his voice steady, addressed the spirits. "We are honored by the power you've entrusted us with, but we are also humbled by the responsibility it carries. We need guidance, clarity, and understanding. What is the true purpose of this power, and what is the price you ask of us?" The shadow people communicated not through words, but through a tapestry of visions that unfolded before the family's eyes. They saw the land of Yosemite, lush and vibrant, but also wounded and scarred by the passage of time and the encroachment of human civilization. As the vision continued, they witnessed the power they had been granted, the ability to heal the land, to restore its vitality and balance. But they also saw the price, the sacrifice of a life offered in reverence to the ancient spirits and the land itself. The ceremony concluded, and the shadow people melted back into the shadows, leaving the family with a profound sense of understanding. They had glimpsed the purpose of the power, and they knew the choice that lay before them. As they returned to their campsite, the night seemed darker, the forest more silent than before. The decision weighed heavily on their hearts, but they understood the significance of their role as stewards of Yosemite. The following morning, they gathered once more at the ancient stone altar where they had performed the ritual with Chief Tawadi. With a sense of purpose and solemnity, they made their decision. "We accept the power," Jacob declared, his voice firm but filled with reverence. "We will be the guardians of Yosemite, the conduits of its healing, and the stewards of its secrets. But we do so with the understanding of the price it demands." With their decision made, they felt a profound shift in the air, as if the very essence of Yosemite acknowledged their choice. The land itself seemed to sigh in relief, as if it had found its protectors. As they left the altar, they knew that their journey had taken on a new significance. They were no longer mere visitors to Yosemite, they were now bound to it by an unbreakable pact. The power to heal the land and the burden of sacrifice rested upon their shoulders, and the untold story of Yosemite would continue to unfold through their actions and choices. Chapter 12. The unseen sacrifice. The Smith family had accepted the daunting responsibility bestowed upon them by the shadow people of Yosemite. They were now the guardians of the land, entrusted with the power to heal and protect it, but with that power came the solemn duty of making a sacrifice, a life given to sustain the park's vitality. The weight of their decision hung heavy on their hearts as they returned to their campsite that evening. The forest was shrouded in shadows, and the air seemed to crackle with an unspoken tension. The untold story of Yosemite had taken an unexpected and haunting turn. As they gathered around the campfire, Emily's voice quivered with emotion. "We made the choice, but it's not going to be easy. How can we decide whose life to sacrifice?" Jacob, his brow furrowed with concern, replied, "We'll have to approach this with wisdom and respect, Emily. We'll listen to the land, to the signs that Yosemite itself will show us." Lily, her young eyes filled with a mix of determination and fear, added, "And we'll do everything we can to protect the park, to ensure that the sacrifice is worth it." Their resolve firm, they spent the days that followed patrolling Yosemite, watching for signs of imbalance and decay in the land. They tended to the park's needs, caring for its plants and animals, and working to preserve its natural beauty. Their connection with the shadow people deepened, and they felt the spirit's presence guiding them. One evening, as they hiked along a remote trail, they came across a grove of ancient trees, their massive trunks covered in moss and lichen. In the heart of the grove stood a colossal sequoia, its branches reaching towards the heavens. As they approached the tree, they felt a powerful energy emanating from it, a sense of life and vitality that seemed to pulse with each beat of their hearts. Jacob whispered, "This tree is ancient, Emily. It's a part of Yosemite's soul." Emily nodded, her eyes filled with awe. "It's a living testament to the enduring magic of this place." Lily, who had always possessed a deep connection to the natural world, approached the sequoia and placed her hand on its rough bark. In that moment, she felt a profound bond, a connection to something older and greater than herself. As they stood beneath the towering tree, the forest around them seemed to come alive, its whispers growing louder. And then, in a haunting chorus, the voices of the shadow people filled the air, their ethereal song resonating with the ancient sequoia. The spirit's message was clear. They had chosen the ancient tree as the recipient of the sacrifice. It was a life that had witnessed the passage of centuries, a life deeply intertwined with Yosemite itself. The Smith family understood the significance of the decision, and they felt a profound sadness and reverence for the ancient sequoia. It was a sacrifice made in the name of preserving the park's natural balance, a solemn pact with the land and its guardians. As they returned to their campsite, the weight of their choice settled upon them. They had made the decision, and now they had to prepare for the ritual, a ceremony that would offer the ancient sequoia as a sacrifice to heal the land. In the days that followed, they gathered the necessary offerings, wildflowers, herbs, and sacred objects, and prepared for the ritual. They knew that it would be a moment of both sorrow and hope, a testament to their commitment to Yosemite and its untold story. As the sun dipped below the horizon on the appointed day, casting long shadows upon the forest, the Smith family stood before the ancient sequoia. They lit a ceremonial fire, its flames flickering in the gathering darkness, and began the ritual. Their voices joined in ancient songs, their offerings placed upon the makeshift altar. The forest around them seemed to hold its breath, as if in anticipation of the moment to come. And then, in a haunting silence, they approached the sequoia, their hands touching its bark, their hearts heavy with the weight of their decision. With a final chant, they offered the ancient tree as a sacrifice to heal the land. As the ritual concluded, a profound stillness settled upon the grove. The ancient sequoia seemed to absorb the energy of the ceremony, its branches swaying gently in response. The forest itself seemed to sigh, as if acknowledging the sacrifice made in its name. The Smith family left the grove with a sense of sorrow but also a deep respect for the natural world and the enduring magic of Yosemite. They had honored their pact with the Shadow People, and the untold story of the park continued to unfold, shaped by their actions and choices. Chapter 13. The Unearthed Mystery. The sacrifice of the ancient sequoia had been a solemn and profound moment, a pact made in the name of preserving Yosemite's delicate balance. The Smith family had accepted their role as guardians of the land, and as they continued to care for the park, they felt a deeper connection to the natural world and the spirits that watched over it. Weeks turned into months, and the seasons cycled through Yosemite, each one bringing its own beauty and challenges. The Smiths witnessed the park's transformation with a sense of awe, knowing that they were part of something greater than themselves. One crisp autumn morning, as they hiked along a remote trail, Emily stumbled upon something buried in the soil, a fragment of an ancient artifact, weathered by time and the elements. She carefully unearthed it, revealing a small, intricately carved stone. Jacob examined the artifact, his eyes narrowing with curiosity. This looks like a tribal artifact, possibly from the Native American tribes that once inhabited this land. Lily, always eager to uncover the past, asked, "Do you think it holds any significance, Dad?" As they continued their hike, they discovered more fragments of artifacts, stone carvings, pottery shards, and delicate jewelry, all buried in the earth as if waiting to be uncovered. The trail seemed to lead them deeper into the wilderness, as if guiding them towards a hidden truth. Their journey culminated in a secluded clearing, where they discovered the remnants of an ancient tribal settlement. Crumbling dwellings, totem poles adorned with faded symbols, and sacred stones marked with intricate carvings filled the clearing. Jacob's voice was filled with reverence as he said, "This is a sacred place, a testament to the history of the Native American tribes that once called Yosemite home." As they explored the site, they felt a powerful presence in the air, a sense of ancient spirits watching over them. And then, in the shifting shadows of the clearing, the Shadow People emerged, their forms taking shape before the family. Ine and Yaoi regarded them with eyes that held a deep sadness. It was as if they were revealing a forgotten chapter of Yosemite's untold story, a story of the land's original inhabitants and their connection to the spirits. The Shadow People communicated through a series of visions, images of tribal ceremonies, dances around roaring fires, and the reverence with which the ancient tribes had regarded the land. They revealed the existence of a hidden cave, a place where the tribes had communicated with the spirits and left offerings in exchange for protection and guidance. Emily, her voice filled with wonder, said, "We have to find this cave, Dad. It might hold the key to understanding the ancient relationship between the tribes and the Shadow People." With newfound purpose, they set out to locate the hidden cave, guided by the visions and the presence of the Shadow People. It was a journey that took them deeper into the heart of Yosemite, through dense forests and along rushing rivers. Finally, after days of searching, they stumbled upon a concealed entrance, hidden beneath a curtain of ivy. As they entered the cave, they felt a powerful energy in the air, as if the spirits of the past were still present. The walls of the cave were adorned with ancient symbols and carvings, a testament to the reverence with which the tribes had regarded this sacred place. At the heart of the cave, they discovered a stone altar, covered in offerings of shells, feathers, and handcrafted trinkets. Jacob, his voice filled with awe, said, "This is where the tribes communicated with the Shadow People, where they sought guidance and protection." As they conducted a ceremony of their own, a tribute to the spirits that had watched over Yosemite for centuries, the Shadow People appeared once more, their forms coalescing in the flickering light of their lanterns. The spirits' message was clear. They had chosen the Smith family as the keepers of Yosemite's untold story, entrusted with the responsibility of preserving its natural beauty and the secrets of its past. With a sense of reverence and understanding, the Smiths left the hidden cave, knowing that they were now a part of Yosemite's history, a continuation of the ancient relationship between the land, the tribes, and the Shadow People. As they emerged into the daylight, the whispers of the Shadow People lingered in the air, a reminder of the untold story that continued to unfold, guided by their actions and choices. Chapter 14. The Unveiling. The Smith family had uncovered a hidden chapter of Yosemite's history, a story of ancient tribes, the sacred bond they shared with the Shadow People, and the secrets they had left behind. As guardians of the land, entrusted with preserving its natural beauty and untold stories, the family's connection with the park deepened with each passing day. The seasons continued to shift in Yosemite, and winter descended upon the park with a quiet, majestic beauty. The snow-capped peaks and frozen waterfalls transformed the landscape into a world of serene wonder. Yet, beneath the tranquility, a sense of foreboding lingered. One evening, as the family huddled around their campfire, the flames casting dancing shadows upon the trees, they noticed something unusual: a series of footprints in the snow leading away from their campsite. Lily, her eyes widening with alarm, pointed to the tracks. "Someone's been here, Dad. These footprints weren't here before." Jacob examined the prints, his brow furrowing with concern. "It's strange. No one else should be out here in this weather. And these tracks look recent." Their unease deepened as they followed the footprints, which led them deeper into the forest, away from the safety of their campsite. The night was dark, the moon obscured by heavy clouds, and the shadows seemed to move with a sinister intent. As they followed the trail, the forest grew more dense and eerie. The ancient trees loomed like spectral sentinels, their branches reaching out like gnarled fingers. The family's lanterns cast feeble circles of light that did little to dispel the darkness. Emily whispered, "We should turn back. This is getting too dangerous." But Jacob, his sense of duty to Yosemite and the spirits unwavering, replied, "We need to find out who's been here and why." They continued to follow the footprints, their apprehension growing with each step. The forest seemed to close in around them, its silence broken only by the crunch of snow beneath their boots. Suddenly, they came upon a clearing, and their lanterns revealed a sight that sent shivers down their spines. An ancient totem pole, its features weathered and faded, stood at the center of the clearing. Lily gasped, her voice quivering. "This totem pole, it's just like the ones we saw in the visions, the symbols, the carvings. It's identical." Jacob, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and awe, nodded. "It's as if we've stepped into the past, as if the spirits are guiding us." As they approached the totem pole, they noticed a figure standing beside it, obscured by shadows. A sense of dread settled upon them, and they could feel the weight of the unknown presence. With trembling hands, Jacob called out, "Who are you? What do you want?" The figure stepped into the feeble light, revealing a face that sent shockwaves of recognition through the family, a face that mirrored their own. It was Sarah, the park ranger they had encountered before, but her eyes held a vacant, haunted expression. She spoke in a hollow voice, "I've been waiting for you. The spirits have chosen, and I am their vessel." Emily's voice trembled as she asked, "Chosen for what, Sarah?" Sarah's words were a chilling revelation. "The spirits have chosen me as the conduit, the one who will wield their power to reshape Yosemite." The family's confusion turned to horror as they realized the truth. Sarah had become the embodiment of the Shadow People's power, a power that could heal and protect the land, but also wield great destruction. Lily, her voice filled with desperation, cried out, "You can't do this, Sarah. It's too much power for one person to handle." But Sarah's eyes held a disturbing certainty. "The choice has been made, and the power is mine to command. Yosemite will be reborn, but it will come at a great cost." With those ominous words, Sarah raised her arms, and the totem pole before her began to emanate a strange, otherworldly energy. The symbols and carvings upon it glowed with an eerie light, and the very ground seemed to tremble. The Smith family watched in horror as Sarah's transformation continued. She had become a vessel for the ancient spirits, a force of nature that could reshape the park's destiny. As the totem pole's power grew, the forest itself seemed to react, its trees swaying with a menacing force. The very air crackled with supernatural energy, and the family realized that they were facing a power beyond their comprehension. In the face of this unimaginable threat, the Smith family had only one choice: to confront Sarah and the dark power she now wielded. The untold story of Yosemite hung in the balance, its secrets and mysteries on the brink of being unveiled. Chapter 15. The battle for Yosemite. The clearing in Yosemite's eerie forest was now a battleground, where the Smith family faced the haunting figure of Sarah, who had become the vessel of the Shadow People's power. The totem pole glowed with an otherworldly energy, and the very ground seemed to tremble with the weight of the supernatural forces at play. As Sarah raised her arms, commanding the ancient power, the Smith family knew they had only moments to act. They couldn't allow the spirit's power to be harnessed for destruction and chaos, and they understood that they were the only ones who could stop it. With a shared determination, they advanced toward Sarah, their lanterns casting a feeble light upon the clearing. Jacob called out to her, his voice filled with a mix of concern and desperation, "Sarah, you don't have to do this. The power you hold, it's too dangerous. It will destroy everything. But Sarah's eyes were vacant, her connection to the spirits absolute. She spoke in a voice that seemed to echo from another realm. The spirits have chosen, and I am their vessel. Yosemite will be reborn, and nothing can stand in their way. With those chilling words, Sarah raised her arms higher, and the totem pole's energy intensified. The shadows around her writhed, and the very air seemed to grow heavy with malevolence. The Smith family knew they had to act quickly. Lily, filled with a courage beyond her years, shouted, "We have to disrupt her connection to the spirits. We need to break her concentration." With that, they hurled their lanterns toward Sarah, shattering them and sending shards of glass and sparks of fire in all directions. The sudden chaos disrupted the ritual, and Sarah staggered back, her connection to the spirits momentarily severed. Emily seized the opportunity, rushing forward and grappling with Sarah, trying to wrest control away from the spirits. It was a desperate struggle, a battle between the power of the ancient world and the determination of a family fighting to protect the land they loved. Jacob and Lily joined the fray, each using their strength and willpower to break the hold the spirits had on Sarah. It was a battle of minds and spirits, a fight that transcended the physical realm. As they grappled with Sarah, the totem pole's energy began to wane, its eerie glow fading. The shadows retreated, and the forest seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. Finally, with a final surge of determination, the Smith family managed to break the spirit's hold on Sarah. She collapsed to the ground, her eyes returning to their normal state, filled with confusion and fear. Sarah gasped for breath, her voice trembling as she said, "What? What just happened?" Emily, her own voice filled with compassion, replied, "You were the vessel for the spirit's power, Sarah. But we couldn't let them use it for destruction." As Sarah struggled to comprehend the events that had transpired, the Smith family knew that their battle was not over. The power of the Shadow People had been disrupted, but it still lingered, waiting to be harnessed. With the ancient totem pole now dormant, they realized that they had a choice to make, whether to destroy the source of the power or find a way to ensure it would never be used for harm again. In the days that followed, they consulted with Chief Tawadi and the Native American elders, seeking guidance on how to handle the power of the Shadow People. The elders shared their wisdom, and it became clear that the power had to be sealed away, hidden from those who might seek to misuse it. With the guidance of the elders, they performed a ceremony to seal the totem pole's power, burying it deep within the earth, where it would remain undisturbed for generations to come. As they stood by the newly sealed site, they felt a profound sense of responsibility. They were the guardians of Yosemite's untold stories, entrusted with preserving its natural beauty and the secrets of its past. With their duty fulfilled, they returned to their campsite, knowing that their connection with the Shadow People and the land itself would endure. The untold story of Yosemite would continue to unfold, shaped by their actions and choices, a testament to the enduring magic of the park and its ancient spirits. We hope you have enjoyed our introduction to Shadow People in the giant Sequoia forest of Yosemite, as paranormal scary story. Please visit us at Paranormal Untold Stories. .com to listen to more of our scary stories collection. Paranormal Untold Stories encourages you to contact us if you have your own untold story that you would like our professionals team to put online as a scary story. Thank you. Please follow our YouTube channel, Paranormal Untold Stories, and encourage others to do the same. Paranormal Untold Stories.